I'm the dietitian at Dulles Health and Rehab currently. I've been a dietitian for 15 years. I'm an Air Force wife, I say by trade, because that, takes me everywhere. And the great part about being an Air Force wife is that I get to live all over the country. We just moved recently from South Africa, so we spent 3 years in South Africa as diplomats. My husband was the attaché there. He flew C-130s forever, so we've lived mostly in the South. So I always tell my children, they always know when I'm really angry because the Southern comes out in me. So, but I'm from the West originally, so I tend to speak a little very quickly. So please just give me the, you gotta slow down, lady. Note if I need to, because I tend to speak really quickly. But yeah, dietitian for 15 years. I've done everything from WIC to, by trade, honestly, by trade, I am a critical care dietitian. So I feed people through tubes all day is how I describe that. That's what I do best. At least that's what I'm told. And, but my love really is, I honestly love to public speak. So I used to do it for a couple companies that I was contracted for. So this was yay, this was my happy place. I'm excited to be here. So welcome to all of you. All right, so I do not take myself too seriously. As a dietitian, I believe the most important thing is balance, right? Too much one way or too much the other way, we tend to fall off the barge very quickly, right? If I tell you you can't eat cake, what's the first thing you're gonna go eat tomorrow afternoon? It's gonna be cake, right? So as a consulting dietitian, when I used to do education, it was mostly with diabetics, but the best way that we get people to comply, or that we as human beings comply, is through moderation. So I'm very much about moderation. I am very much aware that as human beings, we are also susceptible. As we age, we tend to gain weight. I am about to hit that 40 mark, and let me tell you, the last year, I don't even know what has happened or is going on. I had a really stressful job, and I think I ate myself into peanut butter M&Ms for a few months. So I am right there on this trail with you right now, because I spent 4 months eating peanut butter M&Ms, and now I'm back on this. I have a fantastic job now, so a whole lot less stress, at least most days, right? So anyway, I'm glad to be here with you. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics is weight loss, because there are so many gimmicks out there. There's so many ways to lose weight. There are so many things. You Google weight loss on the internet and 50,000 results come up, right? Probably more than that, probably 500,000 at this point. There's always the new thing. I remember as a kid in the 80s, it was low-fat everything. Do you remember that? It was low-fat everything, low-fat ice cream, low-fat everything. And then we were like, hey, wait now, maybe that's not probably the best idea. We got a lot of things going on that deficiencies that we shouldn't be having, what's going on? So, now we move to today where we've got the paleo diet, we have low protein, we have 15 million different things, right? I mean, there's so many. Which one works? Which one is the best? We're going to talk about all of those things today. Again, keeping moderation in mind, because I'm very much about the moderation. All right? So the title of my presentation is Eat Less, Move More. That's my name. Those are just my credentials. I do have a master's degree in public health. So yeah, so public health is kind of my other baby. All right, let me get my clicker here, and we're going to move forward. All right. First thing, you guys, I need you to know and understand is there is actually no magical fix. If it appears to be too good, it is, right? If it's too good to be true, it likely is, especially when it comes to weight loss. A lot of times when I give this presentation, I'll have people say, well, Krisha, what about like bariatric surgery? Well, bariatric surgery is a great fix, and it fixes it for most people, but did you know that the statistic is, it's getting better, but the statistic now is that 75% of people who have bariatric surgery gain their weight back. Why? Because we didn't change anything. It restricted something for a set amount of time, and then as your stomach starts to stretch, because it is a muscle just like everything else, so it can stretch right back to where it was, right? So just like surgery, just like anything else, it requires behavior change. Now the great part about bariatric surgery, today I actually sat through a seminar last week, and the great part is that now they are incorporating 3 whole months, most programs, 3 whole months of you have to go through nutrition counseling, you have to go through psychological counseling, you have to go through a significant amount of counseling, training to help you make a life change prior to the surgery before they'll even book you for surgery, all right? Any good surgeon should, because what they're trying to do is give you the tool, and then what they're gonna do is they're gonna give you the tool, and then they expect you to comply, right? To make that life change to change. I know that there are a whole bunch. I Googled last night just to see how many came up, and I typed in weight loss pill, right? 123,000 searches came up, 123,000. That's insanity, that's insane. Most of them work, generally speaking, right? But the second that you stop taking them, your body freaks out, is like, what has happened to me? Why do I not have this chemical in my body telling my brain that this is going on? And 90% of the time you gain the weight back, all right? So if it appears to be too good to be true, it probably is, all right? Long-term weight loss requires a long-term plan, hence the word long-term plan and commitment, all right? This is about a lifestyle, not necessarily about a quick fix, all right? It has to be a lifestyle change. It cannot be something that happens overnight. Quick fixes initially work, like I said, but then you're gonna, you know, the second that whatever that fix is stops, likely the weight will come back, and statistically, you will gain back everything you had plus 10%. Those are statistics. I know, statistics are terrible, right? I'm a math girl. You'd think I'd love stuff like that, but they're terrible. In this sense, it sounds awful. And let's talk a little bit about physiologically why that is, all right? So when we eat less, so say that you're gonna go on a calorie-restricted diet, okay? Your body goes onto a calorie-restricted diet. Let's just take round numbers, for instance. Say that your body's used to eating 4,000 calories a day. I know that seems like a huge number, but did you know that the average American consumes over 3,500 calories a day without even blinking? We consume a lot of calories, a lot. Without even blinking, we consume that many. So say that, just for round number's sake, say that we can consume 4,000 calories. Well, all of a sudden you're like, okay, I read this book and it said I need to drop my caloric intake to 1,500 calories a day. All right, first of all, for the first 3 days, you're gonna feel like you've starved to death, that you're in the middle of the Sahara, right? And that you haven't been able to eat for 3 days. You're gonna be starving. So then your body, honestly and sincerely, goes into starvation mode, all right? It's like, holy cow, they're starving me to death. What am I gonna do? So then it triggers a physiological response in your body where your body all of a sudden starts to pull energy from itself, right? It has to pull energy from somewhere because it thinks it's starving, okay? So it starts to pull energy stores from your fat cells. Great idea, right? You've limited your calories. It's a whole lot less than what you used to, which is great. You're gonna start to see weight loss, and especially at the beginning, you're gonna see some fluid loss with your weight loss, because for those first, as ketosis, what we call ketosis kicks in, or starvation in your body kicks in, it's gonna pull some water with the weight, all right? So great, all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, you're 10, 15 pounds down and you're doing a happy dance, and then guess what? 2 weeks later, you're still starving and you're standing on the scale, not a single pound more, all right? What happens is your body compensates. Our body is this great gift that it's the most amazingly built machine on the planet, and it has backup mechanisms for everything, all right? Weight loss included, which is why weight loss, especially as we age, gets harder and harder, all right? So as we decrease those calories, all of a sudden your body's like, okay, I got this. We're on 1,500. I've learned how to manage that process. We're doing good. And it doesn't feel like it needs to pull from your fat stores anymore. And all of a sudden you stop losing weight. And you're like, yeah, what is going on? Well, in order for your body to recompensate, you're going to have to do one of two things. You're going to have to increase your output, which means that you're going to have to exercise more, or you're going to have to decrease your calories more, because your body is now telling itself, all right, we're good. Well, what happens when you decide after that happens and you can't live off of 1,000 calories a day for very long, and you go back to eating your 5,000 calories or 4,000 calories a day? Then what happens? Your body's like, oh my gosh, what has just happened? We must be in a feast or famine mode, right? And now we're in feast mode because we were just in famine mode. We're in feast mode, so it starts to store all of that. It thinks it needs to store it because you're going to starve it again at some point, and it's probably right? How many of us have done this all of our lives, right? So all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, she's gonna starve me at some point, or he's gonna starve me at some point. I need to store these extra calories, and that's what it does. Our body is built for survival. So that's what it does. It stores that extra energy for later. And most of us store it somewhere in this vicinity, right? Most of us, generally speaking. All right? When we do store it in this general vicinity, it also increases our risks for things like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and stroke. Okay, and by nature, most of us do. I don't know many people whose calves are ginormous and the rest of them is skinny. Most of us keep it in the middle. Okay, so our risks for all sorts of things goes up. All right, do you guys have any questions about the way the physiology works? I'm sure most of you already knew that. All right, this is one of my favorite videos. Will you up? So I'm gonna let you guys watch this. This is hysterical.
I've tried just about everything, and I can't seem to lose weight.
What if I told you there was something you could do?
Really? What? I'll do anything.
Eat less, move more.
And?
That's it.
But how does it work?
It's simple, really. You eat less food, and you move around more than you do now.
It gets more complicated the more you describe it. Isn't there a pill I could take?
Haven't you taken pills for dieting?
I sure have.
How'd that work out?
I'm fatter now than I've ever been.
So don't you think it's time to start something new?
Can't I just get a doctor to staple my stomach shut?
You'd rather have invasive surgery than lose weight by eating less and moving around?
At least I'd be asleep.
You want to lose weight, right?
Absolutely.
Then all you have to do is eat less and move more.
I don't know. How much will it cost?
Nothing. It will cost nothing. In fact, you might actually save money.
This is starting to sound like some sort of scam you do to an old person.
How much do you spend on groceries?
$350 a day.
Good Lord. Well, if you ate less, you could save up to $200 a day.
But will I still have to move more?
Yes.
How in God's name will I remember all this?
Here.
Eat less. Well, this is sort of different from what you said before.
Turn it over.
Move more. This is a poorly designed pamphlet.
You know what, lady? I don't think you want to lose weight.
Bull crap. You don't know me.
Listen, I gotta go.
Don't forget your pamphlet.
Try Keebler's new double stuffin' marshmallow fudge sludgers. The Keebler elves love fat ladies. We're like black dudes that way.
All right, that is one of my favorite clips, mostly because it's so true. I think that comedy often reflects life, as we know, so I think that one is very, very true to life. Eat less, move more. All right, I told you we were going to talk a little bit about the ways that we can lose weight and why or why not we should. Metabolism altering agents. So most of the time these come in weight loss drugs or pills. You can get them anywhere. Amazon, GNC, your local Walmart, right? They're all different types of them. They come in all different shapes and forms and sizes and pills. The most common and the most widely used in our day right now is Garcinia cambogia, right? Or Cambodia. It is a Cambogia. Good grief. I swear it's a Monday today. It is actually, basically it speeds up metabolism, and most of the time they combine it with a significant amount of caffeine, so it actually increases your metabolism. But again, once you stop, it stops, right? All of a sudden you don't have that agent, you're not burning as many calories, your body thinks it's starving, it starts to store fat. So if you want to take them for the rest of your life, and this is what I'm going to say about every diet pill out there, if you want to take them for the rest of your life, I'm fine with that. But you're going to have to take them for the rest of your life, because otherwise your body is going to go back into, holy cow, something has changed, survival mode, okay? Intake limiting agents, ready-to-eat food programs, by name Jenny Craig, right? Jenny Craig, right? I have to, confessions of a dietitian, I did Jenny Craig after my second son was born. I gained about 15 pounds when he was born. He was a big kid, 10-pound, 8-ounce big boy, right? He was a big boy. But afterward, I had also gained about 15 pounds. And so I was like, all right, you know, everybody says this works. I had a good friend who had been doing it for years, so I tried. The great part about Jenny Craig is that if you use it as a tool to teach you portion sizes, because that's honestly and sincerely Jenny Craig's entire platform, they're trying to teach you actual livable portion sizes, all right? It's great for that. If you can use it and then transition yourself into actual portions that are the same size, fantastic. Use it, go for it, right? But 95% probably of the time of what happens is once those meals stop, you think you're doing really good, you're like, I don't need to measure portions anymore, and all of a sudden your half a cup of mashed potatoes becomes a half a cup of mashed potatoes, right? So, and then it becomes a half a cup of mashed potatoes loaded, right, at Texas Roadhouse with 6 other rolls, because you can't leave Texas Roadhouse without 6 rolls. There is probably in the late 90s, early 2000s, everybody was doing the high protein, low carb. Atkins, South Beach, there are quite a few of them, all right? They are extremely effective, all right? Couple caveats, all right? It is also one of those things, so this is one of those times where you literally put your body into complete starvation. Our bodies were built to run on carbohydrates. When we take those away, our body has to find some other form of energy to run on, right? Even same thing, kind of same concept as when we reduce calories. But this is a much faster, much more ferocious version of that. So what happens then is that our bodies kick into what we call ketosis. We're going to go back to 6th grade biology, right? We run on the Krebs cycle. When we can't run on Krebs, which is carbohydrates, we run on ketosis, okay? Ketosis, there are a couple problems with ketosis. Number one, if you don't drink enough fluid and you have any form of kidney problem, bad idea. Ketosis puts out what we call ketones, and those ketones have to be filtered through your body, and your kidneys have to filter those. So if you have any kidney problems, do not, under any circumstance, especially without consulting a physician, do a very high protein, very low carb diet, okay? After long periods of carbohydrate deprivation, your kidneys can actually start to fail. So it just depends on the amount of protein and how healthy your kidneys were to begin with. So just if you are going to do that, it is a very effective way to lose weight. You lose it very fast. But again, the second that you start to introduce carbs back into your body's going to kick itself back over into using it, what it knows, what it's built to do. And there are ways to do it soundly and appropriately, meaning you add 1 carb at a time, teeny tiny portions, and you basically have to live kind of on a high protein, low carb diet forever. That's kind of how it works, all right? Very effective though, I do have to say. You will lose weight and you will lose it fast, and it will keep coming. Because as your body continues to starve, you're basically starving it, it will continue to pull from its own fat stores. Very fast, very effective, but it can also be very dangerous. All right, you definitely, if you're going to do this kind of diet, you need to be under the supervision of a physician or a dietitian who can kind of guide you through that process. All right, gastric bypass surgery or lap banding or the new gastric balloon, all are intake limiting agents. All right, there are 2 different types of gastric surgery. There's gastric bypass, the Roux-en-Y, and then there's the new gastric sleeve. Roux-en-Y leaves you a pouch about, your stomach should be about this. Most of ours are about twice of our fists. But it actually leaves you a pouch, I can't really show you, that's about half just bigger than your thumb. All right, it's teeny, yeah. Roux-en-Y leaves this little teeny tiny pouch at the top of your belly, and then basically they divert everything else into your large intestine, okay? Gastric sleeve is a little less invasive. They basically just take your stomach and slice it like a banana. So you have this little sleeve that's left at the front. The only hiccup to that, it's effective. It's not as fast as Roux-en-Y surgery. You don't lose weight quite as fast because you have more stomach. With Roux-en-Y, you are very susceptible to vitamin and mineral deficiencies, because you don't have any stomach to absorb them. And many of our vitamins and minerals are absorbed actually in our stomach. With the sleeve, you have a little bit less of that, but it is very effective. The thing about both of these surgeries is that, like I said before, the stomach is an organ that is very stretchy. It's a muscle. So the second that you everybody usually gets down to their weight loss goal. I've seen people lose 150, 200 pounds with gastric bypass surgery. It's a fantastic way to lose weight. Again, if you don't make any lifestyle change, the second that you start to be able to feel like you can eat, guess what happens to that stomach? Comes right back, all right? And then we're back. And most people that regain their weight fall into that category of regain plus 10%. Terrible. It is, I know, right? Lap banding was a great idea. It was a great thing to do. Most people that have had their bands put in the last 10 years are all now having them taken out. They didn't last as long as the manufacturer said that they were going to do, so most people that have gastric banding done are now all having to have them taken out, and most of them are having some form of revision done. Just the nature of the beast. So it was a great idea, but most physicians don't even do it anymore because it didn't last as long as they thought. We do have a new procedure called gastric ballooning. Insurance companies do not cover this. They will cover the other 3 surgeries, but they will not cover ballooning. It costs about $8,000 out of pocket to have it done. And basically what they do is they take a little balloon, it's about this big, and they laparoscopically, so there's no invasive surgery, which is a good thing, I guess. And they're going to take that balloon and they're going to stick it down into your stomach and they're going to inflate it with saline. And then they're going to tack it to the side, and it stays there for 6 months. And basically what it does is it limits the amount of food that you can intake. All right? It's great if in that 6-month period of time you can completely change your lifestyle and eat healthier, smaller portions. That's its purpose. It's kind of a tool. So if you use it as the tool, great. Go have it done. Go spend your $8 grand. Find some great bariatric surgeon who will do it for you. There are many, many in the area, and they're good surgeons. So if that's what you guys want to do, great, all right? And then we do have pills and powders that actually are intake limiting agents like Sensa. Do you guys remember? It's not as big now as it was about 10 years ago, and you could sprinkle it on all your food. Do you guys remember that? It was like salt, and you could sprinkle it, and basically what it was is it was just psyllium fiber that would expand. So it would get down into your belly, and it would just balloon. So it would make you feel like you were full, all right? The other one I didn't put on here are things like Orlistat. It's an oral medication, over-the-counter Ally. Ally is Orlistat. This is my favorite thing about Orlistat. I know some people who take it have no problem with it. Have any of you ever had this experience, and this is, you do not need to raise your hand, but do any of you chew sugarless gum? And have any of you chewed more sugarless gum in a day than you probably should? Maybe not. There's a chemical called sorbitol or maltitol it's a sugar basically. It's a fake sugar, as we say, and it's found in sugarless gum, but it's basically what is in Ally. Do you know what we also use it for? It's also a laxative. So Orlistat and Ally. So if you've ever, I am a gum chewer. And I don't tend to have problems, but my grandma chews 2 pieces. My poor grandma would kill me if she knew I was telling the story. She chews more than 2 pieces of gum, and we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem, right? So it's because she's very sensitive to those chemicals, right? Some people have no problem. Some people can take Ally, and basically what it does is it takes that fat, locks onto it, and flushes it out. But the flush has to go somewhere, right? So it's got to go through your bowels. Most people that take it that have sensitivity to it explain that it is not a fun experience all the way around, all right? All right, so we've already talked about that, and they can have very negative side effects. All right, there's only one sure way to lose weight in a long-term basis. You guys were hoping I was going to have some magical fix today, weren't you? I know you were. The best way to lose weight long-term is to eat less, move more. But remember how we talked about at the beginning, if you eat less for a little while and move more for a little while, and then all of a sudden you decide to stop completely, what's going to happen? Yep, your body's going to go back into, oh my gosh, we've got to, she's starving me again. Like all of a sudden I have food again. I need to store this because at some point she's going to starve me again, right? That is the cycle that our body goes through. So I have a really good friend who has the willpower of, I don't even know. She has more willpower than I can even muster, right? And she is one of these people. She is one of those people that you see at the gym that is, you know, she's great, she's super healthy, she looks great, she feels great, and I want to smack her, right? I just want to smack her because she's not I tell her she's not a normal human being. Most of us do not have that kind of willpower. Most of us are going to have days where we eat 4 bags of M&Ms for dinner. That would be me. Peanut butter. Sorry, they're my vice. So the problem is that this has to be, we have to find that willpower, all right? That has to come from somewhere, and this has got to be a commitment over a lifetime, right? It's more about a lifestyle change than it is about anything else, all right? And things happen. Things happen to us as women. This is excluding you. We have children, right? And what happens to our bodies when we have children? Right? It does. I'm sorry. I had 3 10-pound babies, and after the 3rd one, I did 10, 8. They were big kids, right? I have big children. But after my 3rd one, I gained a ton of weight with the 3rd one. And he was my smallest one. I didn't even understand that. Nonetheless, I'm sure I was being punished for something. Anyways, I gained a lot of weight with him. And honestly, everyone told me that after that third baby kind of does you in. So any of you who have 3 children maybe can attest to that. But my body completely changed. The chemistry changed. Everything about it changed. The way it looked changed. And the way that I had gotten the weight off with the first 2 didn't work with the 3rd one at all. It did not work at all. So I had to rethink the way that I was doing things. So then all of a sudden I started going to gimmicks, and I started going to, and I'm a dietitian, I know better, right? But I did it anyway because I was like, dang it, what is going on with my body? And my husband said to me one day, he's a very wise man who I adore, he said to me one day, babe, he's like, you're a dietitian, shouldn't you really, practice what you preach maybe? I'm like, I hate you right now. I don't like you, go away. And you know what, it got me thinking, and I was like, he's right. I have tried everything under the sun, but what I really hadn't tried was going back to the old standard of, I'm really gonna have to probably eat a little less because my body is freaking out right now, my hormones have changed, and I'm gonna probably have to move a little more. Deep sigh, because I did not want to do that, right? It's hard to do that, it is. But it's really the only way to have long-term results, all right? So here's the math. I'm a math girl. It's what I do all day. I calculate math. In order to lose weight, you have to burn more than what you take in, right? Basic math. So here's how it works. 500 calories a day or 3,500 calories. You have to have a deficit of 500 calories a day or 3,500 calories a week to equal 1 pound of loss. 3,500 calories a week. Now, how many of you think that sounds like a lot? Sounds like a lot, right? Remember at the beginning we talked about that most of us take in 3,500 or more a day. So for most of us, it's actually not that hard. Do I have any soda drinkers in the audience? No, you guys are good. I'm a diet soda drinker. I'm sorry, I am. It's my other vice, Diet Dr. Pepper. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. But if you are a soda drinker, that is the equivalent of 1 can of Coke. That's it. 1 can of Coke a day. If you get rid of 1 can of Coke a day, 1 big can, right? Or 1 bottle, I guess. 500 calories out the door. If you consistently do that, and I have seen this work, if you consistently get rid of it, over time, it may not be all of a sudden the immediate results that you would expect, you will lose weight. All right, now you can't replace that Coke with, 19 fudge bars, but if you eat exactly the same that you've been eating and get rid of the Coke, you will lose weight, all right? When I was counseling for the military, I was a dietitian at one of their health and wellness centers for a while. And let me tell you, grumpy military old men, so if any of you are out there watching this, I'm sorry, but my husband's gonna be one of them, were the worst clients I had. Because they would come in and they'd sit down and they'd fold their arms like this and they'd be like, I am not giving up anything. They'd flat out tell me before the words even came out of my mouth, they would sit down and be like, I'm not giving up my pie. Okay, well, let's not give up your pie then, because apparently you and your pie have a thing. But what we did discuss was ways that he could have the pie, but cutting back everywhere else. So instead of having 3 pieces of bacon at breakfast, you can still have bacon, just have 1 piece. Or instead of having 7 pancakes, which one man did, have 2 pancakes, right? 2 pancakes, 1 slice of bacon. Still breakfast, just not quite as much, and guess what? You still get to have your pie, all right? Now, I want to, because moderation is everything, what works for me and what works for you are very different things, right? What works for me is I am an all or nothing kind of girl. So I am a dietitian, so when I decide that I'm going on weight loss, and this is the second time, so right now I'm starving. I just want you all to know that I'm starving right now. I have to do protein, and I monitor myself. I watch my labs. My physician watches over me when we do it. But for me, that is what works best, and because I can monitor myself, I know how to do it best, right? But I'm constantly in a state of starvation. Now, I'm not always hungry, but it works for me, all right? That is how I bring on my calorie deficit. I need a black or white. Some people don't need black or white, because if you tell me, like take Weight Watchers. I'm a big fan. In fact, I put it out there all the time. Big fan of Weight Watchers. Why? Because basically it teaches you to eat the foods that you love in smaller portion. It makes you choose, right? So if you only have 30 points for the day and you want to spend all 30 points on Snickers bars, guess what? You have those Snickers bars, right? Probably not the healthiest option, I'm just saying. But if you want all 30 points in Snickers bars, you have all 30 points in Snickers bars. My problem is that because I tend to be an all or nothing kind of girl, Weight Watchers didn't work very well for me. I tried it we did it in college actually. It didn't work very well for me because when somebody says, oh, well, you can have 6 Ritz crackers, but you can't have the whole sleeve. No, I'm still gonna eat the whole sleeve, and then I'm still gonna eat the pie, and then I'm still gonna eat the, because if you give me an inch, I'm gonna take a yard. I know that about myself. So when I have to do weight loss, I have to be really careful and manage myself, so I choose to do the protein way. It comes off really fast. It's probably not, again, my kidneys are very healthy, so I'm in okay shape, but I'm an all or nothing kind of girl, so it works for me. That is how I choose to put my body into calorie deficit, because I need a very black and white line. You can have this, you can't have this. I need that line. Most people don't need that line. Some of us do, most people don't. If you have the willpower of my grandmother, she also has phenomenal willpower. She's 86, she's about this tall, she's about this big around, and she's the feistiest, most fabulous woman you will ever meet in the whole wide world. But she honestly, sincerely has the will, the strength of Job. She is amazing. And she is one of those people who you could put a smorgasbord in front of her, and one piece here, and she walks away, and I'm standing there shoveling, it's like a cruise. You can't get enough. She has enough willpower to be able to walk away. If you do not, then you need to be very honest with yourself when you're starting to do a weight loss program. You need to know what works best for you. If you are one of those people like me who needs a very black and white line, then you need to find something that will put you into calorie deficit that can draw that line. Does that make sense? Find what works for you, all right? But at the end of the day, it's about math. It is about math. It's about putting yourself into some form of calorie deficit to be able that your body's gonna burn more than you put out, all right? The other way that you can do it, if you choose not to eat any more or any less, which is perfectly fine, is to increase your exercise, all right? So in that respect, you need to burn 500 more calories every single day, or 3,500 calories more per week than you currently do. So if currently you are not exercising, then you need to get up off the chair, and we need to go for a good walk, all right? And that is about, I'm gonna show you a slide here, will tell you how much exercise is about 500 calories. In caloric intake, 500 calories is equivalent to a lot of things: a Coke, a cheeseburger, and a smaller Coke, an 8-ounce Coke. That's not a whole lot, right? 500 calories comes and goes really quickly. It really does. So putting yourself or limiting yourself to those extra 500 calories is really not that hard. Here's the thing about this, all right? We're talking about very consistent, constant, slow weight loss. If you are one of those people who have enough willpower to get this done, I commend you. Standing on the scale at the end of the day, everybody's like, I need a pound, I need a pound, I need a pound. The pound may not come, all right? It may take sometimes 2 weeks to get to the point, and all of a sudden you're down 3 or 4 pounds. But you have to be willing to put the work in to see the result, okay? All right. All right, my favorite combination of these two is, instead of complete deficit or complete exercise fanatic, because how long is that really gonna last, Really, how long? Not long, right? So my favorite is to combine the two. To give yourself some moderation, eat a little less, move a little more, okay? If you combine those two, and if you choose to, do something black or white where you eat a whole lot less and you exercise a little bit more, the weight just comes that much faster. You put your body into that much more of a deficit. So I choose to combine the two. I continue to exercise. Your body will eventually hit a plateau where you are going to have to shake things up, do something. For me, I have to go on I know this is a terrible thing, but when I do protein, I have like every 3 months, I have a 1-day carb binge. I know that sounds ridiculous, but basically what it does is it throws my body back over onto the other side. My body freaks out. I want to pass out, by the way, at the end of the day because I've had like pizza and heaven only knows what else for that day. But at the end of the day, my body's like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? And then I can go back to ketosis the following day. The hiccup with ketosis or with any deficit program, you are going to be hungry. I'm going to tell you guys know. For any of us who have ever dieted, if you've ever dieted, I know we would all raise our hands. You are going to be hungry for the first few days. But I promise you, and I swear on my grandfather's life, that give it about a week and a half and your body will find that homeostasis. It will be good again, all right? The hunger will start to ebb and you will start to feel a whole lot better, okay? So you've just got to hang in there. You got to have that willpower, okay? Portion control. This is one of the best ways that we can honestly and sincerely decrease our caloric intake with not really changing anything about our diet except the portions. Portion control, as you know, so take our 4,000 calories a day that we talked about earlier. If you take those 4,000 calories a day and if you ate half of everything you put into your mouth, half, that's it, 2,000 calories a day, that's a deficit of how many calories a day? 2,000, right? So you do the math. Right? 2,000 calories times 7 days, that's 14,000 calories, right? That's almost 3 pounds a week. That's a lot. And all I asked you to do was cut everything that you would normally eat in half, okay? Choose foods that are filling. Fruits and veggies, as we know, have lots of fiber. Same thing with the whole Sensa drug that was out a while ago, is that basically what it does is it goes into our bellies, we put water on top of it, and it expands. It makes it so that we don't feel quite as hungry, right? So you fill your body with some good, great fiber, your body's going to be less hungry, all right? Protein. Protein. I cannot preach protein enough. Protein takes longer to digest than anything else in your belly. So when your body starts to attack all the molecules that you put into your belly, fats, carbs, protein takes a long time to break down just by nature. So it makes you feel fuller longer because it's taking longer to break down. It's down there longer, right? So it stays down there longer. And then the trick of any dieter, so if you've ever been on a diet, any program on this planet, weight loss, drugs, anything, what are they going to tell you to do? Drink water, right? Water. Number one, it flushes your system, which is great. Water's great for us. But number two, it's the little trick. Water is a filling agent. It's a false filler is what we call it. It doesn't last very long, as you know, but you think about it. You chug, like on a really hot day like today. You come in, you chug this 16-ounce water, and for a little while, you're like, all right, I'm good. I'm not starving. I'm good to go, right? 45 minutes later, though, what's going to happen? You're starving again, right? So if you can use it as something that will help get you through a meal period so you eat and drink at the same time, fantastic. Use it as a filler, all right? I cannot stress water enough, though, because it also helps keep things moving. So if you're going to increase the fiber in your diet as a filler so that it helps you feel full, you also need to increase the water or we're going to have another problem that no one's going to be very happy about, all right? So please make sure if you increase your fiber, which is a great thing, keeps your bowel healthy, that you also increase your water, okay? So 500 calories, this is what I was telling you about, 500 calorie activities. Any of you golfers? Do we have any golfers in the room? Excellent. I learned to golf when I was in South Africa. We loved it. They have golf courses everywhere. They're like 7-Elevens, they're everywhere. But I love to golf. And out on the golf course, 2 hours. If you're like me, you're walking the course a lot because you're trying to find your ball, right? Excellent, 2 hours on the golf course. Walking at about a 4.5 mile per hour pace. It's a pretty brisk walk, right? It's a good brisk walk, especially if you're on the treadmill. About an hour and 10 minutes will burn 500 calories, all right? Zumba, if you're into the Zumba craze, which I love Zumba, is an hour. Rowing, are any of you rowers? I heard that's a thing in DC. We're new to DC, so I don't know. I guess it's a thing on the Potomac. I don't know. For 55 minutes. If you are a runner, here's the kicker. Do you guys see this? An hour and 10 and 45 minutes. Right? You'd think it would be a whole lot different. It's not. Running is, if you're a runner, I commend you. I can't run. I'm too old. My knees can't handle it anymore. I snow skied when I was growing up, and I did some serious, serious damage to my knees. But the thing about walking is that it only takes about 25 minutes more of walking at a brisk pace than running for 45 straight minutes. I can't run for 45 straight minutes. My knees would literally collapse on me, all right? If you are a runner, again, I commend you. It's amazing. But I can't. So for me, walking just a few more minutes is a much better option, all right? Any of you spinners? My husband is a spinner. Dude, I don't know how he even does that. I don't know how he can sit down after that. That's all I'm saying. Bless his heart. He is a spinner. 45 minutes of spin, a good hard spin is 500 calories. And then my personal favorite, because it is the least impactful, especially on your lower half, is the elliptical machine. I am an elliptical fanatic. I love the thing, mostly because I have bad knees. But I get a really good workout when I'm on the elliptical. I do the arm thing, loving the elliptical, you know, got my tunes in. So if you have bad knees or arthritis or in your hips or in your knees, the elliptical machine is the way to go because it is a low intensity exercise, or the word is not coming. Thank you, my gosh, thank you. It's a low impact exercise. I swear it's a Monday today. All right, so we've already talked about combining your efforts, eat less, move more. So here's some examples. If you give up 250 calories, which is the equivalent of, it would be about, let's see, I'm trying to think of something that's 250. Oh, like fruit and yogurt, right? Yogurt's about 180, 160, depending on the yogurt. Greek yogurt is a little bit more calorically dense. So if all of us are into Greek yogurt, like we all are these days, and about 6 pieces of fruit, half a cup of fruit, that's 250 calories. Now that's giving up 2 really good things, so please don't give those up. I would rather have you give up Snickers bar, right? Because that's about 250 calories, right? And then go on a walk for 30 minutes. There's your 500 a day calorie deficit. That's all you had to give up. I'm not asking you to go run a marathon tomorrow. I'm just saying 30 minutes out there, walk around, get some movement, and give up half a Snickers bar. How about that? We'll give half, right? And then we already talked about cutting your portions in half. So again, if you're on a 2,000 calorie diet or a 3,000 calorie diet, you cut it by half, literally your portions just by half, same foods, you're minus 1,500 calories a day. It's a lot of calories in a day, all right? Taking the stairs versus the elevator. Walking, parking your car at the end of the parking lot. I know that was a bad idea today because, dude, we would die by the time we got here. It was even hot this morning. I got my exercise this morning. Here's my funny story for the day. My daughter is watching the dogs of our neighbors, our good friends. And they have this dog who's a lab mix, and they have this little Pomeranian. Well, we've done this before, no problems, no questions. This morning, the little Pomeranian decided to make an exit out the side of the house, and we chased that dog for 45 minutes. I did have a skirt on today and heels. I don't have a skirt and heels on anymore. So I got my 45 minutes this morning before I ever got here. I did have to go home and change clothes because I was about to kill a Pomeranian, but I did get my exercise in before I came today. So chasing the dog down the street, excellent form of exercise. Just don't do it in heels because you're gonna have blisters, all right? All right, honest weight loss does not happen overnight. I think we've already hit upon this point. Honest, true to goodness, keep it off, take it off, keep it off, is gonna take time, all right? If you have 10 or 15 pounds to lose, I always used to tell my clients, you need to be looking at a 3 to 4 month period of time. There's my timer. All right, I'm going to finish up here so you guys aren't here forever. You need to be looking at a 3 to 4 month period of time. If you have 15 to 30 pounds to lose, you need to be looking at about 6 months. If you have more than 30 pounds to lose, we are looking at 6 months to a year. Okay, I know all of you, I just got the glazed over look, all right, I did, from all of you. You should see your faces, it's awesome. The thing about it is, though, is that if you want it to come off and stay off forever, then you have to do it slowly and steadily so that your body has time to adjust. Remember that you wouldn't all of a sudden, how good is it going to be for your gas tank to fill it up all the way, super extra full, gun it for, you know, an hour and 45 minutes, then pull over to the gas station, fill it again, gun it. Is your car going to be very appreciative of that after a while? No, it's not. In fact, you're going to have to start putting chemicals and you're going to have to start putting other stuff in to make your engine run appropriately. Our bodies are the same way, all right? It has to be consistent and so that your body can normalize to that. We want our bodies to normalize to that calorie deficit. We want our bodies to normalize to exercise. It's a healthy way of living. All right, again, realistic expectations. You can't expect this to happen overnight. Those of us who have more to lose, like up on the 50, 60 pounds to lose, if you're up on that end, weight is probably going to fall off faster. Because if we're looking at a deficit for us, it's going to be more of a shock to our system when we start to have that deficit. So normally what we see with the more people weigh, the faster it comes off at the beginning. Then they're going to plateau, just like the rest of us, all right? And then from then on, it's going to have to be faster. A lot of the time, that's also because most of the time, if we're harboring 50 to 60 pounds of extra fat, we're also harboring that much more water. And as we start to lose, with every fat cell, we lose 2 molecules of water. So as we lose fat, we're going to also lose fluid, all right? And most of us are harboring some extra fluid, whether we know it or not, okay? Most of us do. Do not get discouraged. It does work. I have seen it work. I have watched it work. And I know you're up there like, lady, you're full of it. I swear on my life, it works, it happens, it's slow, and it is consistent. Even if you choose to do something like protein where it shocks your system, I'm still only losing 1 or 2 pounds a week, sometimes 3, depending on how much water I was holding. At the beginning, it was more, right? But it's still going to be a slow and steady, super steady process that I'm going to have to continue for months. This isn't a 3-week thing. This is, for me, this is going to be months and months of work for all those bags of peanut butter M&Ms that I ate that I'm now thinking was a really bad decision, right? We all do that. We're human. We do not all have the willpower of my grandmother. Most of us are normal. We have binge and purge periods, right? Where we binge, and we all of a sudden stand on the scale and, holy cow, what is happening? So then we have to come back the other way. That is normal. Our body, you're very normal. Most people are that way, okay? So just don't get discouraged. It does work. I have seen it work. I have seen it work so many times over. So don't get discouraged and stay at it, all right? All right, we already talked about plateau. All right, if you guys ever have questions about which diet is best for you, or you want to sit down and talk to someone, or you just need somebody to be like, hey, I'm really looking into this drug, or I'm really looking into this diet, sit down either with your physician or find yourself a dietitian. Eatright.org is the website. It's the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. On there, there's a Find an RD button. You can put your zip code into that Find an RD, and it will bring up a list of every registered dietitian in your area. You pick up the phone, you call one of us, all right? Any of us will be happy to pick up the phone, have a discussion with you, say, hey, happy to help you. This is what we're going to do, all right? This is my phone number at work at Dulles Health and Rehab. We are a resource for you guys anytime you need us. Please do not hesitate to pick up that phone and call me anytime, night or day. I'm usually there half in the middle of the night. I'm a night owl, so I work at night. Night or day, leave me a message, any questions whatsoever. We are happy. I am happy. Lindsay is happy. She will funnel your calls to me if we need to. I'm happy to answer your questions anytime. Please know that I have been there. I am doing it with you now, so know that this is a process that can and does work. And I'm suffering just like the rest of us who suffer, so it's okay. It's just part of life, right? We have to have a little suffering to learn things. And this is my email at work, and you guys are welcome to email me anytime, all right? In the middle of the night, all of a sudden you're having a craving, and you email me. I'll probably email you back. I'm just letting you know if it's 2 in the morning, you'll probably get an email back, and I'll be like, don't eat that Snickers bar. I know you don't want that Snickers bar, so just email me. We can be a good support group, all right? Thank you guys so much for having me today. Do you guys have any other questions? Any questions at all? Yes, ma'am.
Just a little bit about, I think it's a Weight Watchers thing, where you like are really good for the whole week. And then Sunday comes in, let's say it's Mother's Day or it's somebody's birthday.
Yes.
And that's why I say I think it's a Weight Watchers thing, you know, with your points that you've now earned,
Yes.
bonus points.
Yes.
And is that really a good
It is.
logic to say it's okay on that one day to go ahead and eat the cake and the ice cream and, oh yeah, and the pizza and the everything else that comes on that day? You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
I know it's not a total loss, but
It's
you
not.
just lost all the good things that you did nutritionally to your body by binging that one day.
Nutritionally, possibly, right? Nutritionally, from that perspective, yes. But from a math perspective, no. Because the way that Weight Watchers is built, it is built to give you the opportunity at the end of that week. So those points are based on a protein and caloric intake, right? So every food that has a point, right? So at the end of the week, they say, okay, you know, you get your extra 20 or your extra 40 or whatever it is at the end of the week. You get your extra now, and I like the way the new program works because they reward you more for protein versus, because it used to be, it was based strictly on caloric intake. It is not anymore. It's based on protein and fiber now, which I greatly as a dietitian appreciate. Very appreciative of that. But when they account for those extra 20 points, they are already accounting for the normal deficit that because that's basically what they're doing. They are counting your deficit for you, right? So the 30 points that you're allowed for the day are probably already accounted for probably, say, a 750 calorie deficit. So at the end of the week, when you decide to binge and you eat an extra 1,000 calories from that pizza or the ice cream or the chocolate cake from your son's birthday party, they've already accounted for those extra calories so that you are still in a deficit. Does that make sense? Nutritionally, probably eating the cake and the pizza and, you know, the bag of M&Ms, the bag of M&Ms is probably at the end of the week is not the best idea because nutritionally now you've exceeded your caloric intake, you've exceeded your fat intake, and there was probably 0 to very little nutritional value in any of that, right? Because you've done good all week. But the other theory behind that, and this is the second part to that, is the other theory behind that is that if we continually deprive ourselves of food that tastes good, because you guys, cake tastes good. It does, right? It tastes good. It's meant to taste good. That's, our bodies like it. It's sugar. It's our energy. It's what our bodies need and want. Our bodies do run on sugar, remember? So when we get that, then we don't feel like the other 6 days of the week, when you get that piece of cake, then you're not like, oh, cake all week long, right? You're like, okay, I know that on Saturday, my son's having a birthday party, I get cake. Okay, I can make it for 6 days. I don't need cake for 6 days, but on Saturday I get cake. Party, right? So it's more, weight loss is so mental, right? It's so up here. It really is. Yes, it's about the math, and yes, it's about your intake, and yes, we want to choose foods that are nutritionally sound. But a lot of it, 50% probably or more, comes from up here. And us talking ourselves, we are good justifiers, right? How many of us justify everything? You're like, okay, if I just have this one M&M, right, it's going to be all right. But then for me, again, black and white, one M&M leads to the whole bag of M&Ms, and then somehow I managed to justify that in my brain. We are very good justifiers. So honestly, that is the other part of that, is it's giving our body that release that it needs. Because you know, when we eat, we also release endorphins, like exercise. It's a happy feeling. That's why we're happy when we eat. When we eat cake, we're very happy. Okay? It's a good question.
What about like you're talking about the starving mode, which is going into the store mode? If we've been starving, we're really good. We've been starving all week. Now all of a sudden we binge. Is that throwing us over into the other way?
It depends.
Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
So it depends. If you find, and this is the thing with Weight Watchers, there's even a caveat in there somewhere that I read that says that if you binge on that 7th day and then the next 2 weeks you lose nothing, you may want to forego your binge days. Because some of us, and especially as we age, it gets harder and harder, I know, right? I know, harder and harder to have those binge days. Sometimes not though. It depends on how good you were during the week. It depends on what kind of process your body is in. If it is good and it is happy and it's working away at that 1,500 calorie deficit or whatever you've put it in for the week, And it's like, all right, I deserve some cake. You eat that cake, the next day you jump right back onto the bandwagon, you have no problem, your body's still in calorie deficit. For some people it works wonders. For some people it doesn't. If you are in ketosis, true ketosis, like if you're gonna do a high protein diet and you binge once a week, your body's still gonna respond, you're still gonna lose weight. But let me tell you, if you do ketosis, you know how I told you after a few days or sometimes a day and a week and a half, that hunger's gonna go away? The second you eat that cake, guess what happens? The hunger comes back. So for any of you who have done a high protein, very low carb diet, about the first 3 days are a nightmare. It is so miserable. You are starving, you think you're gonna die, right? You're really tired, you're really hungry. But at the end of that third day, ketosis kicks in. It's the same thing that happens when we're dying, in case any of you wanted to know this. When we die and our bodies go into starvation mode, because our bodies will, our bodies are hungry for only about 3 days, and then after that, ketosis kicks in and the hunger and the pain go away. So, just a little tidbit of information. So if you're, and you know, all of us will be there at some point, but as you know, loved ones are passing away and we're all like, oh my gosh, we need to feed them, they're starving. Actually, they're not. We get to that about that second and a half, third 3.5 day mark, and the hunger and the pain from the hunger go away. Our bodies are built to survive. They're amazing they're amazing. They really are amazing. And it's a huge blessing for anyone who's been in that state. But for those of us who are trying to lose weight, that's the greatest part, is that the hunger goes away. It's the same thing with bariatric surgery. When they cut out half of our stomach and we're limited to literally a thimble-sized portion, you're starving for those first couple days until ketosis kicks in, and then you're good to go. The hunger goes away. It's amazing. Our bodies are amazing. They truly are. All right, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned how your body changed in the third pregnancy. Do you have recommended strategies for pregnant women to avoid that, while they're pregnant?
Yes. You know what the best one is? Everybody always says, when you're pregnant, I'm eating for... No, you're not. You're really not. You don't get to double your calories. So the best way to manage pregnancy weight is to not gain it. And the best way to do that is technically all you need is to support the growth of that baby, 250 extra calories a day. 250, not 2,500. I don't add an extra zero. 250. That's the equivalent, again, of our yogurt and fruit. That's it. That's all you need. I was terrible. With my third one especially, I was like, oh, I'm eating for 2 huge babies. No, don't do that. Because what happens is then your body, again, it's in store mode. It has more than enough to supply you and that baby for growth. And then what does it do? Stores the rest. Yep. And then your hormones are all fouled up. So then when you get done, then you got to fight hormones and fat store, and it's just a hot flipping mess. So I tell people, if you can avoid that weight gain, avoid the weight gain. 250 extra calories a day, and I would say definitely make them nutritious calories, something like yogurt and fruit, somewhere where you're getting extra nutrients. 250 nutritive dense calories a day is all you need for proper growth. Yep, that's it.
More quality calories.
Quality calories, yes. Things like, instead of choosing, I mean, technically Snickers bar is not all that bad if we're talking about candy bars. If you're going to choose a candy bar, Snickers is the best because it has the most protein, because it has peanuts, right? So anything with nuts in it is going to have good fat in it. It's going to have more protein in it. So if you're going to choose a candy bar, Mars isn't paying me to tell you Snickers is better. I actually don't like Snickers because I don't like peanuts. But I do have to say that if you're going to choose, what's the one that has peanuts all on the outside and nougat in the middle? Baby Ruth, thank you. Baby Ruth is also a good option because it has tons of peanuts. It has, I'm not a big candy bar eater, but it does have a ton of peanuts in it. So the protein content is higher. When the protein content is higher, carbohydrate, so if you have a lot of carbs and a lot of protein in the same thing, it's going to take a lot longer to break that protein down than it is the carbs, so it's going to keep you fuller longer as well. So does double duty, all right? So yeah, you can definitely have it. Just, I would choose more nutritive dense foods like, good quinoa salad, right? I'm a quinoa fan. It's nutty, I like it. Some people just don't, but I love it. So like a good quinoa salad or a bowl of soup, perfect, right? Excellent, excellent. Chicken noodle soup, fantastic. Got some veggies in there, you got some chicken in there, a little bit of carbohydrate, fantastic choice, all right? Fruit and yogurt. excellent source of nutrients, vitamin C, you got some, you know, calcium going in, great, all right, nutritive, dense foods. As we age, our bodies need more nutrients, so as we age, you know, when we were in high school, we could all get away with drinking soda and eating, you know, cheeseburgers for every lunch, and we were completely fine because our metabolisms were much faster. And technically, we needed more calories because we were still growing. Our brains and our bodies were still growing. But unfortunately, as we age, metabolism goes, we all know, right? And mine took a massive dive this last year. So it does. It takes a massive dive. And when it does, we just have to adjust. I had to increase my exercise time, and right now I'm fighting the other way as well because I ate myself into oblivion. But those are the balances that we have to find. We have to listen honestly to our own bodies, because what works for me is not going to work for Lindsay, and what works for me is not going to work for you. Possibly, but you need to listen, because I require a lot of fluid a day. Some people don't. I have to drink a lot of water a day. My body just doesn't seem to function well without it. I get really dehydrated, and then I'm like this all day long. So I require a lot of water. Some people require a lot of sleep. My daughter, heaven help her, she is 15, so let's talk about that. But she has always, even when she was a young baby, she was the greatest baby in the world because she slept for like 20 hours a day. It was the greatest thing since cheese. It was awesome, right? She has always required a lot of sleep. Some people can run on 5 hours of sleep. My body is fine with that. Some people cannot, right? Lindsay's back there shaking her head like, no. Now granted, the older I get, the more sleep I need, just because my body needs more time to rejuvenate itself, and naturally so. So yeah, more sleep. But what works for me right now may not work for you. So you need to really listen and really be honest with yourself. That's what I always tell people. We always want to jump on the gimmick bandwagon, right? Everybody wants to do paleo diet or the paleo, however you pronounce it. If that works for you and you can stick with that and that's a life change for you, fantastic, right? Fantastic. Jump on the bandwagon, go. But if you're going to be really honest with yourself and you're going to do the paleo diet for 3 months and then you're going to go back to eating cheesecake at every meal, paleo diet's not going to work for you, right? In short term it is, but in long term it's not. So you have to be really honest with yourself and find a way that is going to work over the long term, not just for the quick fix. Cool beans?
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is this with, I've heard that if you drink 8 ounces of Coke, you need to drink 8 ounces of water. 8 ounces of iced tea, 8 ounces of water. You know, are you supposed to drink so many ounces of water a day? You know, and I'm like, okay, I drink a lot of tea, but then I try and compensate and drink a lot of water, and I go to the bathroom a lot.
It is. But you know you're actually not going to the bathroom because of the water, you're actually going to the bathroom because of the tea. Here's why. Tea is a diuretic. Iced tea is a diuretic. Diet sodas are a diuretic. So, and some regular sodas, if they have caffeine in them, caffeine is a diuretic by nature. So if you are drinking a regular Coke, the point behind the 8 ounces of fluid, behind the 8 ounces of soda, is that 8 ounces of soda, yes, it's 8 ounces of fluid, but it's also 8 ounces of a diuretic. So what a diuretic does is it pulls fluid off of your body and flushes it, right? Which for some people we need, right? But most of us, it pulls it out and then we have to replace it, because otherwise we're going to get extremely dehydrated. It's probably why I drink so much water. I have to balance my Diet Dr. Pepper, right? That's the nature of that beast. I'm sorry. It's the one thing I refuse to give up ever, I'm just saying. But that is why. That's where that comes from, is that it's the caffeine in it is a diuretic, pulling the water. You've got to replace. Yep. And tea is the worst. Tea is the worst offender. Iced tea is the worst offender, just FYI. In fact, we often use it sometimes in our kidney patients because it helps pull the fluid off.
And that's black tea is?
Black tea, like hot tea? No, I'm talking iced tea.
Well, I was going to say,
Tea in general, the reason that we say iced tea so much is because we drink iced tea in quantities like this. Hot tea we drink in quantities like this, okay, right? Generally the same amount of caffeine in it, right? Generally the same. Coffee is the same thing. Coffee is a diuretic as well, right? Which is why after you have your morning cup of joe, you usually have to go to the restroom, right? That's why. It's a diuretic. It's pulling that fluid off. But this is your coffee, this is your tea, this is your iced tea. So if you're, with coffee, generally speaking, you don't have to drink as much water to replace it.
And is it the caffeine that's in the tea? Because like green tea doesn't have as much caffeine. So green tea,
yes,
as a tea, is a
yes,
better choice because it's
yes,
diuretic.
Rooibos tea, green tea, There are a couple other herbal teas out there. If you make your own herbal tea, not the same because it doesn't have caffeine in it, right? That's yeah, it's the caffeine. Yeah. Some teas are naturally a diuretic just because of the chemicals that they have in them. Some of the tannins actually are, but it's not as much as the reason that the caffeine is there. So yeah, a little bit, some of them do, but some of them don't. So, yep, good questions. I like them. Any other questions? Any other questions for the dietitian? Okay, you guys, it's been my pleasure to be here today. I'm sorry we ran over time. I tried. I did, I swear. But if you guys have any questions, you know where to find us. We're just down the street, so just come knocking. All right? All right, thank you guys so much. Have a great day.